Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine you work retail, right? And you suspect someone might be shoplifting. Now, you definitely have a right to protect the store's property, but where's that line? The line between a valid detention and, well, false imprisonment or even assault, that line is drawn by something called the shopkeeper's privilege.
It's a really critical distinction. Get it wrong, and the store, the managers, even the employee involved could face some serious liability. So today we're doing a deep dive, a really exhaustive analysis of this privilege, specifically looking at the Arizona statute, which basically codifies the common law rule. We'll use the three-part test from a major case, Gortariz v. Smitty's super value, to break it down. A merchant has to hit 3 marks to be protected: reasonable cause, proper purpose, and reasonable manner and time. And Gortariz is fascinating because the store failed on 2 out of 3, even though the item involved was like less than $1.
Okay, that sets it up perfectly. So, for a retailer facing a potential shoplifter, what's the very first thing they need? What's hurdle number 1?
That's the first rule. Reasonable cause. It's the absolute threshold. Think of it kind of like probable cause in criminal cases. The merchant needs a reasonable belief, something objective based on things they actually saw or observed, that a theft happened or is happening. And here's the key part. It doesn't actually depend on whether the person is guilty. It just depends on the merchant's reasonable belief right then and there. You could detain someone who turns out to be innocent, but if your belief was reasonable at the time, the privilege might still apply for this first step.
Yeah, let's see how that worked in Gortariz. The facts involved a 16-year-old, Ernest Gortariz, and his 18-year-old cousin, Albert Hernandez. Gortariz picked up a 59-cent vaporizer, just 59 cents. He asked the clerk if he could pay for it up front later. The clerk admitted he just had a hunch. This seemed fishy. He followed them. He lost sight of the item below their shoulders a few times. Then, when they left through an unmanned checkout lane without paying, the clerk figured, based on that hunch and losing sight of it, they ripped us off.
Right.
Let's analyze Gortariz on this first point. What are the legally dispositive facts?
Well, you've got 3 main things supporting the store's suspicion. That initial hunch, the fact the clerk lost sight of the small item, and then them actually walking out without paying for it.
And what was the core legal issue here?
Basically, did that hunch, plus losing sight, plus them leaving, add up to reasonable cause as a matter of law? Could the store legally stop them based only on that?
What rule did the court apply?
The court confirmed the rule. Reasonable cause in the statute means the same thing as probable cause. And crucially, the store doesn't automatically lose just because the kids turned out to be innocent later. It's all about what the clerk reasonably believed at that instant.
So what was the court's analysis? How did they weigh those facts?
Well, the Arizona Supreme Court admitted it was a close call. I mean, 59 cents they asked to pay later.
Yeah.
You see it both ways, right? But they ultimately deferred to the trial court. The trial judge found the facts were just enough to meet that reasonable cause standard, so they gave the store the benefit of the doubt on this one.
In the conclusion on reasonable cause.
They cleared hurdle number 1. The court said, yes, the defendants met the reasonable cause requirement.
Wow. Okay, so Smitty's was actually on okay ground for why they stopped them, even if the reason felt a bit thin. But just having a reason isn't the end of it, right? The privilege is strict about why you can detain someone. What's the rule on the purpose of the stop?
Exactly. This is rule number 2, proper purpose. And this is where Smitty's really started to stumble. The general rule here is super specific. The detention can only be for the limited purpose of questioning or summoning a law enforcement officer. That's it. The law sees this as purely investigatory. You can't use the stop to, say, force a confession or punish them on the spot or just grab them without trying to figure out what happened first. Do any of that and poof, the privilege is gone.
Okay, so what happened next with the employees in Gortariz? The security guard, who was actually an off-duty cop named Gibson, and the assistant manager, ran out to the parking lot. They caught up to Gortariz and Hernandez at their car. Gibson immediately said he was an officer, went right for Hernandez, the 18-year-old, and just grabbed him, pushed him against the car, started searching him, no questions asked first. And Hernandez wasn't resisting at all. Okay, let's analyze Gortariz for the second element, proper purpose. What are the legally dispositive facts?
The key facts. They immediately grabbed and searched Hernandez in the parking lot. And importantly, the guard, Gibson, admitted under oath he didn't ask them to stay first. He didn't try to question them, didn't try calling the police before getting physical.
And the core legal issue.
Did that immediate grab and search with zero attempt at questioning or calling police first actually meet the rule that detention is only for investigation?
What rule did the court apply?
The court just hammered home the existing rule. Detention is solely for investigating, questioning, or calling the cops. If your actions go beyond that before investigating, you lose the privilege.
And the court's analysis on this point.
The Arizona Supreme Court was blunt. They said there was absolutely zero evidence that the initial purpose was questioning or calling police. The employees skipped the investigation part entirely. They jumped straight to seizure and search. That action itself showed the purpose wasn't the limited one the statute allows.
So the conclusion on purpose.
The trial court got it wrong. Simple as that. Because the purpose was improper from the get-go, the store couldn't use the privilege as a defense for false arrest or false imprisonment. The case had to go back for a jury to decide those claims.
Okay, so even with a reasonable cause, jumping straight to a search instead of asking, hey, can we talk for a second? Totally blew their protection. Now, the third check. This seems like where things often really go off the rails. What are the limits on how you detain someone, the manner and the time?
Yeah, this is rule number 3, reasonable manner and time. And you're right, this is often the big one, general rule. Detention has to be short, brief, and done in a reasonable way. But here's the absolute non-negotiable part every retailer needs tattooed on their brain. Using force is never okay just for detention and investigation itself. Never. Being a store detective doesn't make you a police officer with the same powers. Force is only justified if the suspect actively resists, and only the force needed for self-defense at that moment.
And the facts here got pretty disturbing, didn't they? Like we said, Hernandez didn't resist, but was grabbed and searched immediately. Then Gutierrez, seeing his cousin treated like that, understandably got upset, used some strong language, and pushed the guard, Gibson's reaction, immediately put Gutierrez in a chokehold until he stopped struggling. A chokehold. And he kept that hold on even after Gutierrez yelled the vaporizer was still inside the store. Even after another employee came out and confirmed, yep, they found the 59-cent item in a basket inside. Gutierrez actually needed medical help later because of the chokehold. Okay, let's analyze Gutierrez on this manner element. What are the legally dispositive facts?
You've got the immediate grab of Hernandez, who wasn't resisting. You've got the failure to even ask them to wait. And then the really big one, the chokehold on Gutierrez, a hold that was way out of proportion to a push and crucially was kept on even after they knew the item wasn't stolen and Gutierrez wasn't struggling anymore.
And the core legal issue.
Did that immediate aggressive physical force, especially the chokehold, make the whole detention unreasonable, throwing out the privilege regardless of anything else?
What rule did the court apply here?
The rule is crystal clear. Detention must be reasonable in manner. Force is only okay for self-defense against active resistance. Anything else is assault, and it kills the shopkeeper's protection.
What was the court's analysis of the force used?
The court basically said, look, a possible theft of 59 cents doesn't make you think these kids are suddenly armed and dangerous. There was no need for immediate force. That chokehold, totally excessive, unreasonable. And the fact they kept it on after the situation was clearly resolved. That proved, the court said, that the store's actions weren't about investigating or defending themselves anymore. They were punitive, unnecessary.
And the final conclusion on the manner.
The trial court was wrong here, too. The evidence strongly suggested the store's actions were unreasonable as a matter of law. Since they failed on both purpose and manner, the judgment for Smitty's had to be overturned. The case was sent back so a jury could hear the evidence on the false arrest and imprisonment claims.
Okay, to really hammer home this reasonable manner point, let's try a hypothetical, something visceral. Let's say a security guard absolutely has reasonable cause. They clearly saw a shopper pocket lipstick, no question. The guard goes after the shopper trips, falls down hard, and just lies there, not resisting, not trying to get away at all. But the guard runs up, drops a knee right onto the shopper's back, causes a spinal injury, and starts screaming accusations. Does the shopkeeper's privilege still protect that guard?
It's fascinating, isn't it? Even with perfect reasonable cause, the privilege vanishes instantly there. Instantly. The answer is a hard no. Why? Because the manner was completely unreasonable. The law is emphatic. You cannot use force likely to cause serious harm just to detain someone, period. The shopper wasn't resisting actively, so the force wasn't self-defense. That guard and the store are now facing liability for false imprisonment and definitely assault and battery. The cause doesn't matter anymore.
Wow, so that difference between having a reason and acting reasonably, that's kind of the whole ballgame, isn't it?
That's exactly it. So for you, the listener, trying to synthesize this, maybe for an exam or just understanding your rights, how do you quickly spot if the shopkeeper's privilege applies in a situation? I can give you a quick diagnostic checklist, basically boiling down everything from Gutierrez.
Yeah, give us the framework. How do we check?
Okay, you need to run through these 3 checks in order. If you hit a no at any point, the privilege is likely gone. Check 1. Reasonable cause. Was the suspicion based on actual observable facts, or just a weird vibe or hunch with nothing concrete? Remember, being wrong later doesn't kill it here, but there must be some objective basis at the start. If not, stop. Liability likely attaches right there. Check 2. Proper purpose. Was the stop only for asking questions right then, or maybe calling the police? Or did they immediately try to coerce, punish, search, or grab the person or property without investigating first? If they went beyond questioning or calling cops, stop. Privilege lost. Liability. Check 3. Reasonable manner and time. Was the detention brief? Was it nonviolent? If force was used, was it truly strictly necessary because the person was actively resisting and it was needed for self-defense? Not just grabbing someone, but actual self-defense. If they used excessive force, assaulted, insulted, or held them too long, stop. Privilege is voided. Liability. If you get a yes on all 3: reasonable cause, proper purpose, and reasonable manner time, then the privilege likely applies. But if any of those is a no, the merchant acted improperly and is probably liable.
So, bottom line from Cortárez and all this, just having a suspicion, even a decent one, is only step one. It's only a third of the equation. Retailers have to be incredibly careful about how they handle things. Focus on investigation first, ask questions. Don't jump to conclusions or punishments. And absolutely no force unless you're genuinely defending yourself from active resistance.
Precisely. And here's one last thing, a little twist for you to think about. There's another related common law idea called the recapture privilege. It sometimes allows reasonable, non-deadly force to get back stolen property right away, like in hot pursuit. So imagine if Cortárez did actually have the vaporizer and he was actively resisting when Gibson grabbed him. Could the store maybe have argued they weren't using the shopkeeper's detention privilege, but the recapture privilege instead? It's
Yeah.
a really tricky distinction, and it all comes down to what counts as reasonable force when you're trying to get property back versus just detaining someone. It shows just how fine these legal lines can be.